The right-wing anti-Trump Republican group, the Lincoln Project, has finally imploded for all of us to see. So it was only a matter of time until this was going to happen. This, by the way, is about to be the first and last time you'll ever see me play a news report from Fox Business, and it's not to critique it. This is actually just, this is relatively straightforward and factual stuff. So here's what happened with the Lincoln Project.
From the scandals rocking the anti-Trump establishment Republican group called the Lincoln Project, we're learning tens of millions of dollars that flowed into the political fundraising powerhouse went directly into companies run or controlled by its founders. Here now is the Hill's media columnist and Fox News contributor, Joe Concha. Joe, great to see you. Wonderful column in the Hill about all this. Let's start with the money, because there's a lot to talk about on here. Lincoln Project raised about $90 million, if I have it right, to defeat Donald Trump. Where exactly did that money go?
$27 million, David, went towards advertising. Lincoln Project was very effective in that regard in terms of creating the type of ads that got a lot of pickup by the media and play on other cable networks anyway. So 27 million out of 90 million advertising. 50 million, however, went towards firms controlled by leaders of the Lincoln Project. So if I'm, say, Gordon Getty, who donated $1 million, or David Geffen, who donated $500,000, I kind of want to know, did my money actually go towards the purpose of this project, which is to defeat Trump and ultimately also defeat Republican senators, or was this to line the pockets of the very people that are running this project? We don't know that, but it looks very fishy right now, and several reports seem to indicate that it was the latter, that this was about lining their pockets, even after, by the way, David, in June, they were told about John Weaver and those horrible text messages
we'll get to that
young
in just
boys
a second, John,
soliciting sex.
One of the ironies of this is that one of the major bombshells that the Lincoln Project came out with was tying Trump officials to getting some of their organizations reaping the benefits of money that was supposed to go to the Trump campaign. That was a bombshell. It turns out they were doing exactly the same thing, right?
That's exactly right. And look, these guys were media darlings, and I speak in past tense because I think now this Lincoln Project is dead, and I'll tell you why in a second. Because they were put on CNN, MSNBC, in aggregate dozens of times. 60 Minutes, CBS, 2 weeks before the election, did a glowing profile on the Lincoln Project. And what these guys were ultimately, David, were some sort of, if you put Michael Avenatti into a cloning machine, out came Steve Schmidt or Rick Wilson or George Conway, who's on track to win another Husband of the Year award, no question about that. Exploiting his name, obviously, Kellyanne Conway being the former senior counselor to the president. So that's what happened here. And then even after these allegations came out, David, against John Weaver, 17 times, Lincoln Project co-founders were on TV and they weren't asked about it once, which is just remarkable considering that this is a very serious allegation as far as soliciting young boys for sex. And then obviously there's the money issue as well. So
it really is quite a story. So you have this group, it's a bunch of Republicans, but it's like the elitist establishment Republicans, the George W. Bush era Republicans. So they're for all the terrible policies. They just put on that veneer of respectability and seriousness and like, we get along in polite society. Do you get along in polite society? I love getting along in polite society. Yeah. Let's smell our gas together. Yes, let's do that. So that's that's the variety of right-winger they are. The ones that, like, think they're high-minded and intellectual and wonderful, but really they're for all the shitty policies, and they're just in, like, they're the decorum humpers, the civility humpers. So they don't like Trump, but they don't like Trump for all the dumbest reasons. They don't like Trump because he's unhinged and he tweeted a lot, and he has no decorum and civility, and he goes for the jugular. Like, that's why they don't like Trump. It's not like they disagreed with Trump on, his giant tax cut bill where 83% of the benefits went to the top 1%. They love that stuff. They love the endless wars. They love all that stuff. And these guys have seriously not good pasts, to say the least, okay? So, that's who they are. They set up this group to run anti-Trump ads. And, man, were they a hit. And some of the, listen, I'm not going to lie to y'all, maybe like 10% of them were really good. The other one, like, sometimes it was just the typical, like, drivel, like, they all in on Russiagate and shit. Just stupid. But really, their whole existence was to shake down resistance wine moms. Like, the MSNBC crowd, the let me have some Xanax and some wine in the middle of the day crowd as they wait for Maddow to come on at night. Like, that crowd just started showering money on them. I mean, it was just like, we love you so much. Tell me more banal anti-Trump things. So they ended up raising a lot of money. And so they walked you through it there, but let me repeat it. Of the $90 million that they raised, 27 of it went to the ads. So the whole group, like, that's the whole point of the group, was supposed to be the ads. Only 27 of the 90 million went to the ads. And then they say 50 million, so double the amount that went to ads, went into the businesses of the Lincoln Project guys. So this is like Steve Bannon level stuff here. Remember, the Steve Bannon issue was, he was doing this We Build the Wall thing where he's trying to crowdfund the southern border wall. Now, there's a million legal problems with it because you got to cut through private property, and then the other property is public property, and you don't have the right to build it because you're private citizens building on public land. You need to get approved by the government in order for it to go on public land. Anyway, there was all the legal canard. But yeah, some of the money, they went towards trying to build a wall, but a lot of it didn't. And a lot of it went towards them buying shit for themselves or funneling it to their own businesses. Everybody correctly called that fraud. But when it comes to these guys, nobody says it. Well, now Fox is saying it, and don't get it twisted. The only reason Fox is saying it is because Daddy Trump is still Daddy Trump, and so this is in a way defending him. But like, they're right. All of the rest of mainstream media has not been honest about this even a little bit. The rest of mainstream media adores the Lincoln Project guys, and here's why. It feeds their narrative. The narrative that mainstream media loves is, and I'm talking CNN, MSNBC, the nightly news. So this isn't Fox Business and Fox News. Those are just the Republican hack networks, right? But the narrative that they love is Trump bad, other Republicans are good and reasonable Republicans, and we can work with the other Republicans, but the Trump Republicans we can't. So like, oh, don't you miss the day when we had establishment Democrats and establishment Republicans like Biden and Bush agreeing to do the illegal Iraq war? Weren't those the days? Bipartisanship! Yes, bipartisanship to kill brown people! They love that. They're in the cult of bipartisanship and civility and decorum. And so this gives them the exact narrative that they're looking for, which is Trump bad, people like Trump bad, Trump supporters bad, but other reasonable Republicans that have decorum and civility, like Mitt Romney, we love them so much. Even though, again, functionally, Trump and Romney, like, they're right there together on policy on everything. The Lincoln Project guys and Trump kind of agree on policy as well. So, again, it's not ideological, which is another reason why it's obnoxious and annoying, because it's like, how dumb are you guys? How unserious are you guys? But here you go. So the media, all these scandals, the media said Dickie McGee's acts. They tried to like hide it or cover it up or lie by omission when it came to the Lincoln Project guys. But the one that really burst the bubble, where they couldn't really do it anymore, was one of the guys from the Lincoln Project was like a serial sexual predator, and it was even to the point where he would go after underage boys. And so I think that sort of burst the bubble and made it so that there wasn't even the attempt anymore to try to play defense. Whereas when it was just the money issues, there was, like, they just lied by omission and didn't talk about it. But now with the sexual stuff, they're like, even they've sort of given up, and now the Lincoln Project has imploded. So listen, don't trust like former Bush era Republicans to suddenly be some sort of Democratic saviors. But they were so ripe, like the resistance wine moms were just so ripe to be taken advantage of, and that's what happened with the Lincoln Project guys. So, just you got to be more objective about this stuff, and you got to be skeptical about this stuff, as opposed to just anybody who utters any banal anti-Trump sentiment, you think they're a hero. This is what happens when people do that.